Hey everybody, welcome to Board Games and Beyond. I'm Rick, and we've got Jeff Tidball here from Atlas Games. We promoted this a little bit, so you guys already know what's going on. We're building a game today.
We're going to build a game.
Yeah, utilizing something very, very special today. What do we got?
Well, we got the white box today. We're going to look at the components out of this game design toolkit. We've got cubes and meeples and gigantic cubes, and we can make up some cards. If we want, these do not come in the white box. Right. Get your own pile of index cards at home. Follow along, make your own stuff.
So the first thing in regards to the white box and as a board game design workshop in a box, what are the things that people are going to find right off the bat? We kind of like do a mini unboxing for this. Yeah, so it
comes in a box. It's got a book inside of it. The book's got 25 chapters on how to make games and sort that out. A bunch of punchboard tokens here, some of it pre-printed, some of it half-printed, a bunch of blank components that you can use. We got a ton of little chips here in 8 different colors. 6 of them match the meeples and the cubes and the big cubes. And then we've also got some gold ones and some silver ones. Naturally, this is the gold and that is the silver.
I love it.
My recognition of I'm behind the times.
Gold and silver
we got
pieces.
6-sided dice. The gigantic pumpkin of dice does not come in the white box. That's obviously not going to happen.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah,
later on, we'll have a pouring in.
Oh, we can't do that. Can't do that. People are guessing how many dice are in there, and they're going to win a prize.
Oh, so if I take one out,
you've ruined it. Ruined
the entire project.
All right. While you tell us about all the things that we can do with this, I know you got some punchboard stuff out there. Everybody watching, please share this. Get it out to the universe. We want more people to watch this, and especially if you have a friend that's been talking about, hey, I want to design a game. I have this idea in mind. This can help get them on that path. Right?
Right. So somebody who's been incessantly telling you about how they're going to design a game someday, Wednesday, today, is the day that they are going to do it. So you can shut them up for all time today.
Absolutely. I'm also real quick, and I apologize, but I'm going to share this real quick in a group that probably wouldn't want to know about this. I mean, we've already posted up in it, but I got to let them know that this is happening.
Right, that it's on right now.
Yeah, so we're going to go to the board game design group and be like, hey guys and gals and everybody else, here it is. Right.
Also, there's a when and where can we get this? While you're doing that, the question is, the white box is in stores now. You can get it anywhere that you buy games, anywhere you got a community of gamers. Your friendly local game store can order it if they do not have it already. That is, it is everywhere now. It is available in stores.
All right. There we go. Now I can put that out of the way, and we don't have to have that in front of us. All right, so let's see what we got going on in the chat. We've got Michael Bruce coming to us from Emerald Dragon, and Revan. Oh, I love that name, Revan. That's very Star Wars. Is this for both simple and more complex style game creation?
It is for any style of game creation. There's a lot of information in the book about coming up with concepts, playtesting concepts, but none of it is necessarily focused on any particular style of gameplay. So you could start with extremely basic things and use, cubes to make a very simple, abstract game that might have depth to it also. Sure. Or you could use the ideas in here to do something that is extremely complex. It really comes down to what you're interested in. The goal of the box is to help you get the game design idea. It maybe even says that on the back. Get the game out of your head and onto the table. That is what this is all about. So if you have simplicity in your head,
sure,
it's good to get simplicity onto the table.
Absolutely.
If you've got a complex game in your head, it can help you with that too.
So one of the things we would like for you in the chat and everybody watching us is we want to come up with a theme. We're going to start off with a thematic. Do we want it to be Halloween themed or Christmas themed or something like that around the game we're going to design with your help? And also, what kind of mechanic do we want to use? Do we want to do social deduction? Do we want to do? We do have some cards like Jeff said, but these do not come in the box. You have to get these separately. Index cards work great in case we do have a card component to whatever design we come up with you guys today. And so let's go with concept and mechanic. So
sure. Should we propose options and get people to vote?
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
Or should we just throw it open to?
Well, let's see what there's.
You are my live streaming guru, Rick. I don't.
All right.
This is.
Oh, a mighty need of must-have Emerald Dragon games. Yes, you should absolutely get a bunch of these and have a game design workshop at your store. Get a bunch of your community together and sit down and have a little game design workshop / contest, and maybe somebody at your store who can come up with the next good game. Chantel Jones says, I missed the name of the white box. It's literally called the white box, Chantel. Colton says, how's it going, everyone? Such an awesome idea. Endless ideas. Absolutely. Halloween is a great idea. All right. So I guess Halloween's where
yeah, it is.
All right. So in Halloween we have...
Be right back. I'm going to spray paint some cubes orange.
Shoot. Well, there's corn, too. You know, the cornfields, the corn mazes.
Right.
What kind of mechanic are you guys thinking? Sure. Yeah. What kind of mechanic are you guys thinking as well? We've got, like I said,
I'm going to sort.
I'm kind of thinking social deduction because it can be real quick and simple
Sure.
as a mechanic. But of course, you guys can pitch any idea you'd like, and we'll give it a shot. Kill all the candy corn monsters.
Or eat them.
Or eat them, yeah. You could literally put candy corn on the game.
I mean, being
Why not?
eaten
They
does
last
not
forever.
seem survivable.
No, it doesn't.
So-
You just have to buy a whole new bag of candy corn for your pieces. Social deduction could be like who's the the rotten apple for like apple dunking contest that you would see at a Halloween party. And
Or Halloween's got costumes, so social deduction might involve who is in what costumes or something of that nature.
sure, absolutely. Colton says totally. Melissa's with us. Hey Jerome. Hey, Jerome is watching. Jerome from Game Trade Magazine, our brethren. So we're gonna do a Halloween themed fun game. What do you guys think? Again, we haven't heard anybody in the chat yet throw out a mechanic concept, and we need that. We're kind of dancing around social deduction, but there is many options that we could run with. So everybody out there in the chat, please let us know what you think, and we'll work in that direction. But we've already separated the apples and the corns.
Right.
Right? And of course, in a lot of social deduction, there's also there's the one individual that's the bad apple or the rotten corn.
The rotten corn.
Yeah, nobody wants that
That is
one.
a contender for the title of this game now. The rotten corn.
The
I'm gonna
rotten
write that
corn.
down so I don't forget it.
So if you wanted to design a game that you could actually bring a lot of people into the participation, you could, like everybody grab an apple, right? But one of those apples out of a blind bag is
rotten.
Is rotten.
All right.
And then we have to decide, based on, we know what we are, but we have to find out who the rotten apple is.
So you are rotten, or you know whether you are rotten or not. So you got multiple cubes, or you got one cube?
You got one cube. Everybody reaches in, grabs one cube. So you could be,
Gotcha.
as many players. You could have a big group of players.
Yep.
One person's get that rotten apple, and we got to figure out who that rotten apple is, because a rotten apple will ruin the whole bunch.
Right. So more go in. You like swap them in over time. It gets more perilous.
Sure. I mean, that's an option, and that would be a fun game, I think. And then of course you could just move it over there, and now you got your.
Do we have two bags, or is there corn and apples,
in
rotten
it.
things in the same bag?
They would be in this. I think they would be in the same bag. Maybe you could be an equal number of. Let's say if it's a 3-player game, there's 3 and 3. You reach in, but you can only grab one, and you got to figure out, what everybody is in that social deduction. That's an option. But you always, I think the bad apple is a fun idea, a fun concept. Lisa, let's see what we got here. Use a light versus dark mechanic and tea lights. Let's see where that is coming from, actually. Because I feel that there's more to that particular. All right, this is not working out.
It's a touch screen too.
Is it? Not for me. That's okay. Silly computers, technology doesn't want to work. So let me find this real quick. Yeah, the computer is giving me a bit of a heartache. It's like jumping all over the place. That might be why. All right, computer's off. What about a Monopoly style where you have to get to houses and get candy or lose candy if you land on someone's house? That would be kind of fun too.
Right.
Especially considering you could absolutely reskin a Monopoly board
Yep.
to be something like that. Ryan York says use a light versus dark mechanic and tea lights. Sounds like you're building Werewolf but renaming it Bad Apples.
Well, so that is something that often comes up in a game design, is that the ideas that you're coming up are similar to something that already exists, which is something that you've got to be aware of, because you're
Right.
not going to be successful bringing out a design that's actually the same as something else.
Right.
I mean, I guess every retheme of Monopoly set to the side, but if you
Sure.
want to design a new thing, then that is not going to work. So that is where having a wide variety of knowledge of what exists in the marketplace. That's why as a game designer, you got to play all kinds of existing stuff so that you
Right.
know what's out there and you don't remake the same thing. So that is a good and insightful comment, because it lets us know sort of what we've got to steer clear of, or how we want to, as we think about it, how do we want to make sure that it does not just recreate an existing game in
Right.
the same way.
That was a vote of confidence. Werewolf is a good base. Okay.
Yeah, right on.
All
So
right, yeah.
we want to take that and spin it or do something new with it, not
Sure.
recreate,
Right. Absolutely.
not just have a thing where we vote about who the bad apple is and throw someone
Sure.
off the island and carry on round around one night ultimate bad apple.
Right.
It's,
Wow, that'd be a long. Yeah. But I like the idea of a Monopoly based, kind of like going around trick or treating. That's also a very cool concept. Or one where you could have where everybody is playing someone who has a house, but they're also playing a trick or treater.
sure.
So you build your neighborhood off your card, maybe. Like, this is my house, and I specialize in full-size candy bars. And,
Right on.
You know, and
Right
someone
on.
else will
So
like,
building a board, I'm sorry, go
yep.
ahead.
And then everybody else will have like something special too, like where you can draft from the center. All right, I'm going to grab this, and then when someone comes to my house, they have to, like, let's say if a red person comes in, they're going to take one of the candies that I have accumulated from the grab throughout, you know, black licorice. Nobody wants black licorice.
That is a
Right.
fact. That stuff
Right.
is nasty.
Salted black licorice, the worst. But yeah, so if you have those candies on, and when they come to your house, then there's a resolution that we'd have to. So what kind of resolution do you think would be a good one?
So we got many houses maybe. So this is like one per player.
One per
maybe
player.
players wind up having multiple houses later in the game.
Sure.
Maybe that might be a good way to escalate. But imagining at the moment that we got a 3-player thing going on here. So I've got some stuff that I have claimed.
Right.
They've got some stuff. It helps me figure out what's going on to just kind of build it on the table.
Right, because, and what it is we're the parents with the house,
Yep.
but our kids are the colors
Oh,
that,
yeah,
are,
right on.
that are out collecting the things, and then each person has their own points. Like if the child comes back with more full-size candy bars and you're the full-size candy bar house, then you're going to be the one that's going to want to get more points for that. So you want your child to be like getting
So we
that.
can. So at the end of the day, we might wind up having these cards color coded to match the trick or treater that we're sending out.
Right.
But since we only have blue right now, we can use this to mark. So this is our house. You are the red house and the red trick or treater, and this is the yellow house with a yellow trick or treater that they're going to send out, and I'll be blue here.
Right. Because it's really, it's not so much about the kids getting the candy, it's about what the parents will have to scour.
To steal for the next
from
6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, you know, and then of course, all the candies are in the center, the different types of candies, and you're kind of drafting. Every round you get to grab 2 different types of candies that you've, say, purchased, but every time a trick-or-treater comes to your house, then there's a mechanic of resolution where they can steal one of your candies, or they trick or treat and take something.
We have not yet gotten into
Yeah.
the trick question.
Right. And if they, I don't know if it could be a challenge dice roll between the trick-or-treater and the homeowner, or which is always fun. You know, if I'm the red trick-or-treater and I come to the yellow house and we roll off, and if my trick is better than your treat, then I can take whatever I want.
Oh, right.
But if your treat is better than my trick, then you get to give me what you want. And everybody does. I got a black licorice, and maybe the candies are actually a blind draw, so you don't even know what you're adding to your candy pool until you blind draw it every round. You know, draw two tokens.
So the inventory at each house is secret.
Yeah. So you maybe have a shield. The house
Yeah,
could be a shield.
So this is I don't know if yellow player is in shot or not there, but
Yeah. So we could have
that's secret to all of you at home.
Yeah. So then if it's trick or treat, they can be like, do you have a full-size candy bar, which would, let's say is a red? Yes, I have a full. Dang it. So yes, you get a full-size candy bar. But if their trick is not better than my treat, then they get whatever I decide to give them, and I would absolutely give them that black licorice. And then they go on next round. They move around the board to the next house. I think that sounds pretty cool.
Let's see how we're doing in the chat here.
Find the house with the deluxe candy, avoid the bad apples, sounds good. This already sounds like a game I want to bring to a Halloween party. How would you get a trick? Well, that's another thing too, is maybe everybody has cards in their hand, that has different actions that they can play against the trick-or-treater. So you're actually going to be playing maybe against cards for resolution against them instead of a die roll. So.
Yeah, your cards might even have different tricks that you can play. So you start Halloween with a hand of 10 cards, and 3 of them are eggs, and 4 of them are nothing, and 1 of them is toilet paper, and 1 of them is I don't know, it's a whatever it is. It's an air horn.
Yeah, or amazing costume. Like I'm going to play, my trick is I show up to your house with amazing costume.
Right.
And then you could, as your counter, you would have to have counter deck resolutions in there and be like, well, I like your costume, but there's a stain on it. Reduce, on your die roll, if we, at the end of that, trick, treat, all right, dice challenge, because there's a stain on it, you have to reduce your trick by 2. And then you would roll, and the trick and treat would come back into an action like that. But everybody plays their trick card and a counter trick card if there's one in their hands, maybe as an option, which helps build the theme as well. Because a lot of kids, if you come to my house and your trick is, well, I'm going to egg your house, which is going to give you +2, and I'm going to be like, well, crap, I don't have any to clean my house or do anything against it or counter that. I'm going to lose this round, and you're going to get whatever you want,
right,
or something like that. And depending on how the artwork looks, it'd be, yeah, I like this. If you suspect the house had bad apples, you could play a trick to skip them, perhaps. Yeah, you could absolutely have a card that maybe if you think someone is hoarding bad apples or black licorice, you could be like, yeah, I'm going to skip a challenge here and not draw and just move to the next house on the next round.
Right.
Yeah, so you can avoid.
What's the win condition?
I think the win condition is that
question.
That is a good question. Hey, Scott, you could be Anaconda drafting candies and throw your bad apples back into the candy bowls. Yeah, that could be another thing too. Replace candy back into the thing, draw 2, then put 2 back in, and so you could put more odds of getting bad apples to another player on their draw turn. But a win condition, I think, would probably be like the first child to deliver, because once a child comes to their house, maybe they have to deposit candies, and those candies are visible.
When you return with candy,
Yeah.
so I'm blue, I'm out collecting candy, I wind up with a bunch of this nonsense.
Yeah.
I bring it back and put it out here in front.
Yeah.
Because I can only carry so many,
Correct.
maybe.
Yeah. And then so those are out front visible, but you also are still doing the draft sequence. And let's say the first person to a certain number of candies.
Oh, what if
wins,
there's maybe a push your luck style mechanic? Let me pitch you this idea. So you are out carrying candies around and continuing to collect it, and you can maybe carry as many as you want, right? A pillowcase.
Sure.
In
Yeah.
real life, we
Yeah.
know, can hold a great deal of candy. But maybe as you move from house to house, you are in peril of having the other trick-or-treaters steal all your candy.
Right.
So the more candy you have, the more of a target you might be to your degenerate little red meeple who wants to steal all of my candy. So
Right.
I can use up turns to come back and drop it off, but then I'm using up lots of turns. I'm keeping it safe, so there's a
Right.
trade-off. I like to think about what are the key choices that people are going to make, and the more devilish and devious and difficult these choices are to make,
Right.
generally speaking, the more fun people have, because they're really in a game to make decisions and figure out, like, what should I do next?
Sure.
So that is often the push your luck mechanic is often a place where people are pressed to make decisions that are difficult.
Sure.
So that might be something. I don't know if stealing candy is driven by that same hand of cards or if that goes in some other way, but I like that as the thing that, I guess this originally came from when does the game end, and it does not help us solve that question
doesn't.
at all.
Some people did have some really good questions in here, or response to that. One is no game is complete without tacos.
That is a fact.
That is true. Ryan does say have a hidden role that have hidden roles. Like I was saying before, the red house wants to have the most full-size candy bars.
Right.
And maybe there's, whoever is.
So that is maybe written on the back of your thing.
Yeah, you'd have like.
I am the house that wants tacos.
Right, and I'm the house that wants full-size candy bars.
Not spell tacos.
And they are the house
correctly.
that
I'm
wants
fired.
licorice.
Right.
For whatever reason, somebody out there wants the black licorice. And maybe once you get to your win condition for your house is once you get 10 full-size candy bars, you have met your win condition, game ends.
Right.
And for any one player to meet their win condition.
And so if you have played this a bunch of times, part of the goal is to figure out who is in which house.
Right.
And then to prevent them from winning, right? You will eventually learn that I am in the taco house,
Right.
and you will vaguely remember that the taco house wins when they have 10 tacos.
Sure. And I think for replayability, the house caller can't always be you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, they would. They would have to be separate.
There'd have to be, the conditions would have to be a random draw per player. Like you'd almost have to draw a separate card to be like, oh.
But what we could do is take
win
this
condition.
cube and just run it halfway through a bandsaw so that you can stick this in there.
Right.
You got a bandsaw in here
Of
somewhere,
course.
right?
Always. Yeah. I got a house of squirrels in the back. I'm just like gnawing this.
This is also often how it goes in prototyping, by the way, is that you wind up like with the need for some kind of component that you don't have, and you wind up making it
Cannibalizing
out of
something.
nonsense in the meantime, right? So at the moment we got the big cube and this thing, even if we have the idea that
Sure.
eventually we're going to build a holder that has a slot into it, or, in a production sample it might be a molded plastic house base that
Right.
then has a roof that you slot into it, and the two of those things work together to solve the mechanical need,
Right.
which is to have many options for this,
Right.
but to not cause us to have to make 25 different plastic houses that we
Right.
never use all of them for. So this is a challenge that comes up all the time
Sure.
in game design and in prototyping
Right.
and how the process works.
And as we're looking at all the other components that are here, so obviously by using the white box, we're using meeples to represent our trick-or-treaters. We're using the big block to represent our house color. We're using the dice potentially for
some kind of challenge mechanic.
resolution. But there's also those because there's more stuff here, and why not? Why not try to use everything that we can?
Right.
Because there's always those individuals that instead of giving you candy, give you a quarter or a dime.
Right.
At least when I was a kid. Maybe now they give them $1. I don't know what they're given in the monetary value, but I'd take a quarter.
Right.
And maybe that could be another thing. Someone is like, the family that house doesn't necessarily like candy, so they want their child to bring back
Money.
currency.
Right.
So we could have a currency aspect in there too, and and you want to try to avoid those houses in
Or
real life.
that might be wild, even, right? Money
Sure.
money might be wild. That might stand in for a taco.
Right, or it could be a card thing too. Instead of it being something that people are drawing, it could be a thing that's like take a candy from a child in exchange for 25 cents.
Right.
Or a penny or a dime or however the
Or-
currency factor could be played in there.
If you've got a hand of cards, what do we like? Would you start with 10 cards or whatever? Let's mock up this hand quick.
All right, let's say 5 cards each.
Okay. And
Right.
what do we think is on these cards?
On the cards would be
Trick?
a trick potential.
Yep.
So you have the trick potential. You have the counter or the treat potential, which is almost a counter to the trick.
Right.
There's possibly environmental conditions. Someone mentioned in the chat, Sarah said that one year that it snowed on Halloween and no one could see our costumes because we were all bundled up.
I'm from Minneapolis. This happened to me.
So that you could have a weather condition that could also be a.
I'm just going to
a
write
counter.
snow right on this. We got 3 feet of snow on Halloween when I was in high school one year.
There's also, it seems like we have a lot more challenges, like get bullied, lose, at this house you get bullied by another trick-or-treater, lose a candy to the house, or to the pool.
So this is maybe the steel one. I'm not sure exactly what this is for, but that is probably a thing. And then I think tricking and treating are likely to be duplicated. Let's just put more of those in each hand.
Dirk Manning, writer of many a comic, says, I love push your luck mechanics. Revan says, time limit in an actual Halloween, so at the end of time, whoever has the most. That's true. I mean, Halloween trick-or-treating happens between the hours of 6 and 8.
Right, so that suggests like just a turn clock. We've
a
got
turn
10
clock.
turns and then the game is going to end.
Yeah. Necessity leads to expansions. Another truck was to put a potato in a hated. Another trick was to put a potato in a hated person's tailpipe. But that could also be, the black licorice is our. We don't like that trick or treater that they get the black licorice.
I'm just going to rename this the potato trick.
Nice. The junk candy is now Play-Doh or pencils. Oh, you're right. I gave Play-Doh out to kids last year. The little canisters. I mean, I had a smorgasbord of stuff.
Right.
But I had Play-Doh for kids that have peanut allergies and stuff.
Right.
So there were options, and even the kids with peanut allergies are like, nope, no, thank
Get
you.
out of here.
This game needs a trading mechanic. Certain sets of candy can be traded for trick cards. Hidden rolls need a certain set of candy to win. Yeah, those are all great, Ryan.
Yeah, I like the idea that you can use your candy to win, or you can send it back to get more cards or to refresh your hand, because that's another place where you will be pressed to make a difficult decision.
Sure.
Right? Do I want to try to win, or do I need more resources in order to try to win? Because if you try to win too quick and you run out of resources, then you're going to be doomed, but it's kind of on you because that's what you decided to do. But that's another place where the fun comes in, is if it's your decisions that matter.
Sure.
Right? That's why we all think Monopoly is awful, because you can't make any decisions that matter in Monopoly. Or I'd speak for all gamers everywhere. We all agree that Monopoly is awful. No, Monopoly has its place, but decisions, I think, are part of what makes a great game.
Absolutely. And if there are different win condition potentials, like if I get all the candy bars or all the candy types that I needed to win, that's cool. Or if there's a time limit that whoever has the most candy wins, or if someone has a full house, I have three full size, I have 2 mini bites, and then I have 1 bad apple. Oh, that's a set of a certain set for certain points.
Right.
There's all different ways for win conditions to occur. Man, this game is already,
Right on. What do we got? Anything new in here that we need to take into account?
A toothbrush. Yuck. Revan.
It's awful.
But that could be a card, as a trick or a treat. Instead of a treat, when they throw the trick, oh, by the way, we're going to help you prevent your cavities. Here's a toothbrush in addition to, so that toothbrush reduces your trick roll mechanic.
Right, that's
down.
not only annoying, it actually is awful. Like, it reduces your hand size. So if you've got, so there can be different, I don't know if that's a trick or a treat or an alternate for snow. Like if your hand size, so if everybody's got more or less the same hand.
How many cards per hand?
Yeah, that is a...
So there would be, I think, a community card pool, and that could be another end state to the game is if you get to the last card, once the last card is drawn,
Sure.
the game ends, and then you play. And that can be your timer. So if you had different tricks, treats, and some that are permanents, like if I play it on you, and then you're like now you're
Right, if you just
permanently-
got this toothbrush.
yeah, and I play it on your kid, that means that is now like something that adds to your house. That now your hand size is, instead of having 4 cards in your hand max, or 5, you're down to 4. And you're
Right.
like, crepes. I don't want that. Because having more choices in your hand is a better option.
Right, so that reminds me, I have a toothbrush, so now I get 4 cards, and that 5th one is just reducing my hand size.
Yeah, and then thus reducing your choices.
Why you got to give me a toothbrush, Rick?
Well, because dental hygiene is very important during the Halloween and holiday season because of all the junk food that are thrown upon us. So the game needs a trading mechanic. Certain sets of candy can be traded for trick cards. Okay, we saw that one. Longest toilet papered set of house could be a win condition.
Right away, that is like shooting the moon almost,
Yeah.
where if you accumulate enough bad stuff, suddenly it is good again.
Right. Yeah. So like if you play your trick and your trick and my treat to you is a toilet paper thing, and then the next one is the toothbrush, and let's say your house is surrounded by all sorts of things.
Right.
You're now the house everybody wants to go to because it looks like fun.
Right, so this also has a sort of a small, that this is number 2 out of the 5 that you need in order to win the bad way.
Yeah. So yeah, toilet paper. Yeah, if you got toilet papered as well, and then egged, would be another one. So toilet TP'd.
I'll work on egg.
Yeah. So your house gets TP'd, toilet papered. Someone gave you a toothbrush. Yeah, and you need 5 of these vandal cards.
Right.
You've been vandalized 5 times. Now you're the house that everybody wants to go and take pictures of because it just looks so much fun. Funny, I was thinking you could use a Monopoly style board for the houses. Yeah, Monopoly Neighborhood seems perfect from your Ryan. If you have a timer, then candy could each have a certain victory point total. Most victory points wins. Maybe full-size candy bars have a victory point attached. Absolutely.
All right, so where they are not part of your win condition, but they are extra points just straight on the top.
Yeah.
That's interesting because then even if you fulfill your win condition, you don't know for a fact that you will win.
Right.
So but the taco win condition is to get 8 tacos,
Right.
and then that gives you 10 points per se. Say it's 10 in order to complete your thing. But if a
Sure.
full-size candy bar is worth a point apiece, and you've just been packing those things away, and you've got 12 full-size candy bars in your bag, even though I've completed my win condition, maybe
Right.
you win. And that is, anytime you can know for sure something in a game, it is suddenly less interesting than any time that there is any doubt about it.
Sure.
That's like the crucial importance of those victory point cards in Catan that are face down, because nobody knows exactly for sure where anybody's point totals are at. And
Right.
that's a key point, I think, in making games interesting, is a little bit of unsurety.
Sure. So like, if I am the guy where you have 10 tacos or 8 tacos to get your 10
Right.
points for your house to get like those
Right.
bonus points, like and then there's also the house with the most candy you get this many points. But if a full-size candy bar is worth X, so let's say mine is for every full-size I get 2 points instead of 1.
Oh, right on. So maybe you don't even have a win condition. Yours is just you got to wait till somebody else wins, but then you're going to double your full-size candy bar thing.
Right, something like that. And then every potential house card would have a different thing.
How many players?
I think this could be it would 2 to 6 would probably be optimal for something like this.
Yeah, maybe. One of the things that often drives me when I'm thinking about how many players will it support is how much downtime is there going to be. So a key question for me in figuring out how many players this will support is how long does a turn take? Or
Right.
how interactive are the turns?
Right.
So maybe before we can answer that question, we should figure out what a turn looks like and how fast it goes.
All right, so in my head,
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is that as a turn is everybody. Oh, so the player token, you have your. Here, we'll just take it right out of the white box.
Yeah, we will.
right here, we'll use the big golden meeple, even though there is one that says first player. I like the big golden meeple.
The meeple is better.
So the golden,
just take
because we
this.
always want that golden candy.
We'll throw this away. We're not going to use this.
We're out with you, first player token. So the golden meeple, so first round, I'm the golden meeple.
Yep.
The first round mechanic is.
So this is my hand. You've got a hand that
we've
is
all got
full
our
of
hand
similar
of,
stuff.
our hand of 5. First
I'm
player.
cheating already. I have 8. Carry on.
8.
We have a
this
hand.
guy. So
I'll
all of the
just put these
candies, because remember the first thing is draw a candy. So everybody draws
Okay.
2 candies out.
Oh,
out of
2
the bag.
candies out of the bag.
Out of the bag.
Okay, so these are all secret. We don't know
all
what they are.
secret. So yeah, everybody draws 2 candies. We throw that in our bowl in the back in the house, so nobody knows what we got. Everybody and all players would do that. All right.
And these are not out yet. These are all tricks that are going to be in the deck, right?
Yeah, we'd say like.
Okay.
And I think that would be our end state of the game is once we've completed all the cards in the deck, the last card drawn, one more round done.
Okay.
So it's cards in hand, draw that. Then it's everybody at the same time. You start with your meeple at your house, but you now go to the left or right and go trick or treating,
Okay.
and everybody does it at the same time. So we know where we're all going to go, and let's say you came over to my house, and
We all choose the same direction.
if you want to, you could actually be here, and then maybe that could be a challenge point too.
Oh, what about this? I don't know if this is a good idea
Sure.
or not, but I like the mechanic that occurs in games sometimes where everybody reveals simultaneously. So what if we do 1, 2, 3, point at the house
House
you're
you
going
want.
to, so
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
decides at the same
Yeah,
time?
I like that too.
This
For-
probably does not belong in this game at all, but let's try
Yeah,
it. This is the
alright.
kind of mechanic that comes out the third time you play test it because everybody hates it.
Okay.
All right.
But it keeps everybody engaged.
Right.
Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
What we want to do. All right. So let's do that.
1, 2, 3, point. And we'll get each other. All right.
So I go to your house and you come to mine. All right. And because I am the player here,
And yellow stayed home.
and yellow stayed home. First player token, I am going to do the first thing of like I'm going to trick or treat your
Okay.
house. And so I'm going to say.
And do I play a counter, or you just play
Whatever-
straight up?
yeah,
This is
let-
an action card.
Yeah, whatever I want to do, I'm going to. So I'm at your house. I'm
Okay.
going to trick, and my trick is I have a 5-star costume, which will give me a +1 to my die roll. let's
Okay.
say. And then you would hit it with whatever you want to do to either reduce weather condition or whatever.
Sure, it is. Well, so I've got the snow card. So what if it is snowing then?
All right, so it
Does that-
negates the costume card,
Okay.
the costume trick. So it's just a straight die roll between the two of us to see if I get a candy, I get a candy.
Okay.
So I would say, do you have a large candy bar?
Probably.
Reds.
Reds? Oh no, I don't have any reds.
All right, so no reds.
No reds.
Then I will take a bite-sized candy bar, which is a yellow.
All right.
Cool. So I get a bite-sized
So
candy.
this goes in your bag
No,
then?
it goes in my bag, which would go.
Oh, yeah, there
It
you
just
are.
runs with my meeple, and so that would be the end of that part for me. These go into the discard pile. Then it's your meeple's turn to
Yes,
trick or
it
treat me.
is, because we're going clockwise from the thing.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to steal. Oh no, with stealing is stealing from your dude. I
Well,
can't remember where these
stealing
cards
could
came
also
from.
also could be if you're here and I have candy out on the front.
Mm-hmm.
You can just be like, oh, I'm going to just take that
Yeah,
candy
yeah.
without even a challenge.
All right.
And I can't counter it unless we come up with later a card that counters a steal, like a security alarm.
Right.
You know, no stealing at my house.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have that, then absolutely you steal whatever you want. And then the yellow player would do their turn. and
Right. So
then-
some random thing happens. They play
They
on
do their
their own
thing.
house or whatever
Yeah.
and wind up with one of these, let's say.
Yeah, the child is scared to go out in the neighborhood for fear that the redheaded child is going to beat them up.
Right.
And then that would be the end of the turn. Passes to the next player. You are the one that starts everything off with drawing back up to your full hand size. And then everybody would draw up to their full hand size after you. Then we draw our things.
Okay.
And we continue around. But
Right
it
on.
seems like everybody's engaged all the time.
Yeah, that does seem like a good way to do that. So the adding more players then, I guess, will make the game longer to the extent that everybody's got to play a card. So it will. So this can't be a 12-person game.
No.
It probably can't even be an 8 or 9-person game. 6 seems like a decent size. It seems like 2 is too small though.
It does seem like 2 would be too small. And even maybe 3 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's 2, this mechanic
Right.
makes no sense.
Right. Exactly.
But if there's 3, and let's say 2 people point at the same house, then that other option of if we're there and you decided to throw a steal down, not only
so-
could you steal from the house, you could also, if there's nothing in front, you could steal from the other.
The option to steal from another player only arises while they are at the same house.
Yeah.
And that makes the simultaneous decision interesting because there is a peril there if you wind up at the same house as somebody else.
Right. Always a peril.
Always a peril. Don't.
The chat is on fire. Scott says 2 to 6. There are multipliers. The landslide at the end, you think you win and lose by 1. Yeah, there's always that option. I play this with actual candy. Yeah, and you could.
That's a great idea.
That's a fun thing about it. You could actually do that with actual candy. Monopoly board for houses, plus Catan for players trading candy, plus hidden rolls. Most victory points wins. Run out of candy cards ends game. Most points win. Sounds to me like you already got. You're ready to get this. There's more to this. Get into the nitty gritty. Yes, that's from Ryan. Scott says, "Gotta run. Dang, I'm loving this too." Scott, thank you for joining us, and everybody that's out there joining us. We do appreciate it. On a sidebar, if you haven't shared this yet, please share this video with your friends and family. Let them know that this is a lot of fun here at Game Trade Media with Jeff here with the white box. We want to make sure that everybody knows that this thing right here is going to make all your creative friends happy this holiday season, and you should pick it up for them. Sarah says, by the way, I love black licorice, and it really soothes a sore throat.
Sarah, you can have all of my black licorice.
Revan, what about adding a sorry mechanic where you have a struggle to get home to get your candy safe before going out for more?
Yeah, so if you point at your own house, I guess not only can you collect stuff there, but that is the point where you can drop it off and make it safe from being stolen.
Right. Unless someone plays a steal card at the house while they're there. But the thing is, if you stay home, maybe when you take something from your own house, like we did over here, that now is a visible candy for the future anyway. So you're kind of also revealing more than you should maybe. And that, but you know, there's lots of, there's so many different things that we can see here. You should also have a rain card, similar effects to snow, absolutely. Like a rain card could almost be like target player loses a turn. They can't move because the rain is preventing them from going to their next space.
Or maybe no one collects this turn.
Right.
Like it's raining right now.
Yeah, like
nobody gets candy, so if you know you're not going to get anything anyway this turn. Or if you're willing to, like, actually, so on the turn you go home, you can still drop off candy in the rain.
Yeah.
So that is a card that you want to do to cover the fact that you're not going to get any new candy this turn, neither is anyone else, but you're the only one who's at home to drop off your stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of a world effect.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. How about a scary house mechanic that gives you a minus to get candy? So like one of the houses cards is a haunted house.
Sure.
In some capacity, like that could be someone's playing that, and they have the white meeple as a little ghost child going out there. It's the only time of the year they can get out and interact with this with the peoples. Rain card can be canceled by the umbrella card. Yeah, there's so many different card mechanics that we can add into this game to give it more flavor and thematic to the Halloween setting. So yeah, there's lots going on here. I'm actually really digging it, and I think that this could be a game.
I think it's already a game.
Yeah. What are some other things that you guys watching like about these kind of games? Or what would you want to add, or maybe from what we've already talked about, something that you think maybe you don't need that. You know, maybe that's something we should scrap. Because that is part of the game design process. Sometimes, though you may love it, it may have to be cut.
That is a really good point, and something that you will not often get to cutting things at the 35 minutes into your game design point, but it's really crucial as you develop your game to figure out what comes out, because often the kind of hallmark of designs from newer designers or of designs that are not quite baked yet is there's just too much stuff in there. And so it becomes a really difficult question, what needs to be removed from this game? So even here we can start to see that there's lots of stuff inside it, but we might, looking 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 20 plays down the road, if this evolves in the direction that it's going, what do we think is likely going to fall out of this game in order to make it more fun?
Yeah, it's almost like, is this mechanic something that would stay to the end?
Right.
Or is it just a, you know, you can choose a house adjacent left or right to where your current location is
Mm-hmm.
every turn. So if you're here, on your move turn, you can either go to the house to your left or the house to your right. And that's it, because you're not going to be able to go to the 3 houses down the block
Mm-hmm.
in one turn, unless you're, you know, super fast runner or something. But so that may eliminate the point interaction, but it doesn't eliminate the move potentials, because you're going to go to one house or the other, and after a few rounds, you're going to know, you start learning which houses are going to be trying to hoard certain things. So you want to go, oh, I'm going to go to this house
Right.
because they got the full size candy bars, victory points. But on the next turn, you have to move. You can't stay there. You have to do some sort of
Right.
movement. So you'd have to go left or right again, and you start seeing, all right, well, I go here, I'm going to come back to the big candy bar house, or whatever. You know, different. That's another fun potential. You can get rid of this.
Mm-hmm.
See, third play in, we're already getting rid of the point. The point.
Now, the
yeah.
thing that I could see falling out is the die roll
Yeah.
that comes after the cards, because the cards could straight up just be programmatically resolved,
Mm-hmm.
which would have the effect of reducing a thing that takes time,
Sure.
but also it makes the decision of which card to play more momentous.
Sure.
Although it eliminates uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
which is not always a good thing. Sometimes it's better to have a question.
Okay.
Some players especially enjoy the idea of trying a thing that might not work or that is an outside chance. That's also a good way for people to still feel like they are in the game. If they know that there is some small chance they can do the thing, probably won't work, but 1 game out of 6 they will win because they tried an outside thing.
Right.
But that is something that I would be looking for at a play test, whether that die roll on top of the card play
Is necessary.
is necessary and is bringing more fun to the game.
Sure. And that's, I think, if we were to look ahead, I think that would actually go away, because that's just one more step that doesn't need necessarily add fun to the game.
Right.
So, and we want to maintain it being easy access
Mm-hmm.
and fun and all that. So yeah. Matt Stagmer is watching us. Hey, Matt. Kids don't add candy to their parents' candy bowl. That's right. They have their own stash outside of the house. The inside candy bowls.
That's
parents.
true. So what if there's, well, is their stash is not outside though per se, right?
se.
They don't leave their,
No, it's just as we've seen them go around, we know what they're picking up. So we know that it's in their own candy bowl in their house. It's on their house, but it's also visible because we know what they've picked up on their path.
uh-huh.
Because we do see that. Because either we've given it to them or the neighbors have given it to them, and they're walking around with it, so we see it. But they don't add their candy to the parents' candy bowl.
Right, no, that is absolutely true. So are there, like, is this a 2-room screen, maybe, where one of them is outgoing and one of them is incoming? Or is that just unnecessary?
I don't think that would. I don't think.
See, we've already thrown that away.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
put that over there with the first player meeple.
Yeah, where it belongs. First player meeple on the floor.
Okay, so the stuff that I've collected and brought back sits out here. It is not on the porch, but everyone knows what it is.
Can it be stolen?
Yes, with the steel card, we've kind of already said that if someone throws a steel card and you're outside of a house, let's say there are 2 kids, and then there's also 2 candy bars or 2 treats on the thing, you can basically go steal. I could either take from the child that's there, or from what's.
So
in
the
that.
difference maybe is if we've been going a couple of turns and I've got all this stuff in my bag, a steal on my trick-or-treater gets the entire bag.
Woo.
Right? That is awful. But a steal on a house gets you only one thing. But that's the benefit of putting it here, is that you're banking it and protecting it.
Yeah.
So the push your luck question is, am I going to keep all this stuff in this bag and have it all be subject to stealing at any moment? Or am I going to offload some of that stuff here so that it's harder to steal it, but I use up a turn?
Sure. And there also, Ryan says, deck ought to be distributed randomly amongst the houses on your neighborhood board. Each time you visit, you take only 1 candy. The card deck should be a community pool, I think, to have the decks randomly put around. But as far as the candies,
I mean, that may be something that goes, right? We had a step as it stands right now where candy is reloaded each turn by a draw out of the bag.
Correct.
But that may not be necessary, right? You could just take all the candy at the beginning and distribute it amongst the houses, which is more like how it really is, right? You are not constantly running down to the corner to buy more candy every 12 minutes.
That's true. Yeah, you could have a set amount of candy in the game. There's only so many big candy bars because they do add victory points. There are only so many of this, and then a small fraction being the black licorice or bad apple, or however they were to be described.
I do like the idea that there is a bag that it all gets drawn out of so that no one knows exactly what the universe of candy is that's in play.
Right.
But maybe these screens help us figure out what's in the bag. Like, so if we know that the taco house is in play, we know that that house is putting in 3 full-size candy bars, 3 tacos, 12 small ones, 2 black licorices, and whatever. So at the beginning of the play, you build the contents of the bag based on what is on the houses in play. And then this has a recipe for, and then draw 12 things out of the bag. And we're not going to use up everything that's in the bag. So some of that is just leaving play. We don't know what the whole universe of candy is, but we know kind of what kinds of things might be in it.
Well, one of the comments in here was a rare treat card could be finding a lost bag of candy or finding a random candy on your path.
Right.
Which could be, if we know that your house adds this many, my house adds this many to the bag before we all then disperse it amongst the houses, and we know that based on how many we are drawing to put into our candy bowl, that there is going to be 10 random candies still in the bag.
Still in the bag.
That can be potentially found amongst as you play through the game.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing either. Or that you could literally say, need a refill, you call your spouse on their way home.
Right.
And need you to stop off and pick up more candy you can then grab from the bag as well.
Then there's a kind of an interesting little miniature strategy game in playing out your cards that let you grab found candy before that bag is exhausted. Because as the cards cycle, you're probably going to wind up with more draws that might come from the bag than is actually candy in there. So you want to use that up early.
Right.
So that's an element of strategy for the game.
Absolutely. So then nobody can find any if that card pops up.
Right, right.
And you'll be like, oh, sorry, kid.
Right.
Or you could replace a candy in the bag from your, like if you want to make it so that someone who has been playing a draw game will get those black licorices.
That's right.
You'd be like, I don't like having these in my thing. I'll just make sure that whoever's playing that draw game, because after the 3rd round, you're going to know who's doing that, playing that strategy, and you're going to be like, all right, time to mess with that guy.
Right.
And so something like that. There's a lot of cool mechanics that can be added to this. And for everybody that's been in the chat today, we appreciate you joining us here at Game Trade Media. Again, we want to thank you, Jeff, for joining us as well, showing us the white box. And everybody out there, make sure you go and pick it up. Where can they get that again? It's our mantra here, but where would you suggest they go?
I would go game store to game store. Game store to game store, everywhere. Buy a white box at everyone.
Every single one.
Yes.
I agree. So you can get this at your friendly local game store. If it's not on their shelf now, they can order it and ask them to get it on the shelf so that you can pick it up and add it to your collection, add it to your toolbox for all you game designers out there. Because it will not only help you in having all the bits and pieces minus the cards, it doesn't come with cards, but it'll give you all the bits and pieces you need to design a game, at least get you the bare bones to a game. And then you got to go out and think outside of the box to get all those other pieces in there.
Right.
But this
and we didn't talk about the book at all, but it comes with a book that is just full of essays about how to think about game design and refine your game designs and market them and publish them and think about all of those pieces.
Absolutely. The book is an amazing resource. Industry professionals have basically shown you all the hurdles that they've experienced and how to bypass or jump those hurdles so that as you are designing your games, you will not have to run into them. And if you do, you may know a way to execute succeeding over that hurdle. And it's $30, which is a great price point for a potential windfall for someone out there that might be having in their mind that needs to get it out of the box and out of the head and onto the table, the next windfall game that is going to be super popular amongst the gaming community. and you never know what was that guy's name you mentioned earlier? Makes games for. He's really good.
Our Mr. Lang?
Yeah, that guy. You might be the next Eric Lang out there. You never know unless you pick one of these up and get to work. And we challenge you to do that as well. If you pick one up and you start making the game and you want to show it off, take a picture, send it to us. Let us see what you're working on. We're not going to steal your idea. What we're going to do is we're going to be like, great job, we appreciate you, and who knows, maybe down the road there might be a way to maybe win a thing. Keep your eyes open. I want to say one last thing about Board Games and Beyond here at Game Trade Media. We do have a contest, speaking of contests, where if you can guess how many dice are inside this pumpkin, we have a post on our Facebook page. The winner will be announced next week. So if you're the one that gets it right,
I think there's 8.
There's at least 8, at least. We have a copy of Betrayal at House of the Hill that we're giving away.
That is a great game.
Yes. So you could win it. You just got to guess how many dice are in the pumpkin. So go over to the Game Trade Media Facebook page, check it out, add your guess, and also tag a friend to guess as well. We appreciate that. So again, Jeff, thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
It's been a fun day already. We did other videos, ladies and gentlemen, that are going to come out real soon, so keep your eyes open. And yeah, so this has been Game Trade Media's Board Games and Beyond Special Edition White Box Design a Game with Jeff Tidball from Atlas Games. I'm Rick.
I'm Jeff.
Yes, you are. And we'll see you at the game store.
Thanks for watching Board Games and Beyond. If you liked it, leave a like and a comment below and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new content.